Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I have my March wrap-up. Sorry that it's a bit late, but I want to be honest, I got into planning with Happy Planner and I made some changes to my traveler's notebook and I got a little bit wrapped up in that. But I kept on reading, albeit at a slower pace than I did in February, and also April is even slower than March was. But in any event, I'm here to tell you what I read in March, and that was 42 books with 14,113 pages, averaging 336 pages per day. And I'm flipping through my TN to let you know that in February I read, I believe, 56 books at 588 pages per day. So I obviously have read less, and as I just said, or think I said, April, I'm only probably, April is even slower than March, so this current month will probably be 30 to 32 books. But I'm still enjoying it. I just have a couple other things that are taking a little bit more of my time, in addition to dealing with some health issues. But that's about that. I've already got into a minute, and I want to tell you what I did read. And the first book I read in March was The Winter Sister by Megan Collins. This came out on February 5th, and I enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read a really, really good book by Patricia Johns, and this was Falling for the Cowboy Dad. This was released on March 1st, and I gave this one 5 stars. I then read The Forgotten Secret by Kathleen McGurl, which I gave 4.5 stars, and this was released on March 1st. I read Samantha Chase's Suddenly Mine, which was an early release of this year, January 29th, and I gave this 4 stars. Then there's The Third Victim by Philip Margolin, and this was out actually last year, March the 6th, and I gave it 4 stars. The reason I read The Third Victim is because I had The Perfect Alibi for review, and I wanted to read the first book in the series. And that book, The Perfect Alibi, was released March 5th. I liked it better than The Third Victim, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read I Invited Her In by Adele Parks. This was a pretty good read. This was a book from last year, way back in September, that I finally got to, and I gave that one 4 stars. The next book I read was Cemetery Road by Greg Iles. Now, I read this book maybe a month or so before it was released, but and the release date was March 5th, but I put it with this week because I didn't finish it until later. I think this was a pretty long book, maybe close to 500 pages. This was a really good read, very detailed, almost like a crime drama, but definitely a mystery thriller, and I gave it 4.5 stars. The next book I read, I think it was the third in the series. I didn't write the series list down in this video. For this video, but this is Flare Up, and it's part of a Boston Fire series by Shannon Stacy, and I gave it 3.5 stars, and it was released January 29th. Then I read another book from last year, and this is The Last Time I Lied, which is actually back in the living room on that bookshelf, so I'm going to show you the digital book cover, and that's by Riley Sager. And this came out July 2nd of last year, and as much as I looked forward to reading it, I was only able to give it 3.5 stars. I then read The Little Guest House of New Beginnings by Donna Ashcroft, and this was released March 16th, which got 4 stars from me. Then there was The Bones She Buried by Lisa Reagan, which was released March 27th, and I really enjoyed that one. I gave it 5 stars. Then I read, let me grab it. Then I read The Woman in the Dark, and this is by Vanessa Savage. And let's see, what did I do? Oh, okay, this was released March 12th, and my note says I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Rebecca. It was a classic, and it was a group read, and I gave it 5 stars. And this is the only book in all of these books that are on this video that was not reviewed on my blog, but I did enjoy it. This came out back in 1938. There was Deadly Silence. I was just looking, making sure I don't have the arc. Oh no, this was this actually came out in 2016, and I gave it 4 stars. And I read Deadly Silence because I had other books to read by her, and I'm looking for the print art for the other book, but that might be back in the other room as well. So again, Deadly Silence by Rebecca Zanetti, 4 stars. Then I read the first of 3 books by Jennifer Ashley, and it was Death Below Stairs. I got this from my library, and this came out in 2018, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book by Rebecca Zanetti was Lethal Lies, and this was 2017, and I gave this 4 stars. Then I went back to another Jennifer Ashley book, Scandal Above Stairs, and that was another good read, and this came out mid-2018, and I gave that one 4 stars. Then I read Saved by the Cowboy by A.J. Pine. I have some A.J. Pine books here, but this obviously was an ARC because I have some print copies, but I don't have that. So if I'm not mistaken, since that was an August title, I believe I got that from my online library. I then read Twisted Truths by Rebecca Zanetti, and that was an October release. And as you see, I read some 2018 books because I still have maybe 50 or so 2018 titles, and I'm trying to squeeze them in and mix them in with the current reads. So that, as I mentioned, was Twisted Truths, which I gave 4.5 stars. Then I read the third book in Jennifer Ashley's series, and it's Death in Kew Gardens. It's an ongoing series. It was really good. It came out, it will be out in June 4th, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Then I read Tough Luck Cowboy, still looking at, and what I keep looking at are these print arcs from A.J. Pine, so sometimes I'm not sure which ones I have. So let's see, Tough Luck Cowboy, A.J. Pine, this came out in August. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read We All Love the Beautiful Girls, and to save space, some of these books I put back in the living room. And this was by Joanne Prout. It's an August title. I only gave it 3 stars, and since I don't want to get up and pause the video, I will just show you the digital copy. I then read, I'll grab it, Hard Loving Cowboy by A.J. Pine. I saw there was a glare, so let me readjust that. Hard Loving Cowboy was really good. Obviously, it's part of the series with, as I mentioned, Tough Luck Cowboy was one of them. So in any case, Hard Loving Cowboy came out March 26th. I really, really liked it. It was the 3rd book in the series, and I gave it 5 stars. It was my favorite, obviously, of the series. The next read I had was She's Mine by Claire S. Lewis. This came out on March 5th, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read The Widows. I cannot believe that I put so many books away before I did this video because I do have the print arc of this as well, but I'll show you the digital copy will come up on the screen. So that is The Widows, and that was by Jess Montgomery. This came out in January, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was The Girl Across the Street by Vicky Pattis, which came out March 8th, and I gave it 4 stars. Then there was Knowing You by Samantha Tong. This was released March 14th, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I had Too Close to Breathe by Olivia Kiernan, and the reason I read that is because I had another arc by her, which I just grabbed. So I got this from my library. I believe I got this from my library because it came out in 2018, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I am reading the Lucy Stone series by Leslie Meyer. So the next book I read was St. Patrick's Day Murder. And this was, I have the date wrong here, and I think I have to adjust it for the video, for the description box, because this came out probably 10, 12 years ago, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read My Sister is Missing by Julia Barrett, which came out March 14th. I didn't enjoy it as much, and I gave it 3.5 stars. The next book I read was sent to me. I believe I got this from the First to Read program, but I got an email, I'm sorry for the glare, from the author Olivia Kiernan. I'm trying to show it without the glare so I know that it's crooked. It's not sunny outside and I have my lamp on, so it's giving it a glare. In any event, Ms. Kiernan sent me an email, so not only did I read that, but I read her previous book. So let's see, what did I give? The Killer in Me came out April 2nd, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Then I read My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. I gave that 4.5 stars. It was really different, and if not for the ending, I might have given it 5 stars. Then I read Closer Than You Think by Darren O'Sullivan, March 15th, and I gave it 4 stars. I read, I think, my 4th Amish book in the past 4 or 5 months, and that was The Amish Spinster's Courtship. It was really, really good. It was by Emma Miller. It came out March the 16th. I loved it, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read a series of books. 4 of them I read in March. The 5th one in this series I read April 1st or April 2nd. And the first book is The Birthday Mystery by Faith Martin. And this came out in 2018, and I gave it 4 stars. Then the second book in that series is The Winter Mystery, which I gave 4 stars, another 2018 title. I read another Lucy Stone book, Mother's Day Murder by Leslie Meyer. It was pretty good. It came out in 2006. I gave it 4 stars. I believe I have maybe 8 or 9 books left in the series. I've been reading 1 or 2 a month for about 6 or 7 months. And then I read the next book by Faith Martin in that 5-book series. It's probably an ongoing series, but I read the 3rd book, which was The Riverboat Mystery. This came out February 7th, and I gave it 4 stars. And then the last book I read in March was The Castle Mystery by Faith Martin, and this was released on February 28th, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was The Next to Die by Sophie Hannah. This came out February 19th, and I gave this 3.5 stars. After that, I read Vengeance and Death by J.D. Robb. Now, this is part of the In Death series. I believe there's 45 or 46 books, and this was about book number 6. I'm reading an average of a book a month, and eventually I want to increase it to 2 books a month. This came out in 1987, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Okay, thank you very much for watching my video. The next one you'll see will pretty much be a weekly reads. I have 3 of those to do. They used to be called Friday Reads, as I may have mentioned at the beginning of the video, but I'm going to rename them as weekly reads and just get them up as I can and just do 1 week at a time. All right, thank you. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.